Welcome to the Chief Architect Building Demonstration. My name is Emily and I will be presenting for you today. I'm going to go over the program a little bit, show you where the tools are set and so forth, and then we'll get into that floor plan creation, build multiple stories, build decks, get into our roof design a little bit. I'll show you our framing tools, and then we'll get into our site plan, 3D rendering options, and at the end we'll cover a materials list, schedule options, and a plan set. So let's get going in Chief Architect here. When you start up the program, it will bring up this Welcome to Chief Architect screen. So most of the time you'll just start out with a new plan. You can also open up an existing plan that you've been working on here. We have some resources that you can use to get started. So that's a really good guide. I'll get you right over to our website and walk you through some getting started resources. And we also have this announcement section. So any news, any updates that we have, this will be kind of relevant. So definitely keep your eye on this announcement section. All right, I already have a plan open here. So across the top of Chief Architect, we have our default toolbar. So these are the common tools that I typically use. You can also customize your own toolbar if you'd like. We can also find these tools in the drop-down menu. So we have a build drop-down, terrain, and so forth. Over on the right-hand side, we have our library browser. This contains thousands of different materials and objects for you to use throughout your design. You can also import more from different outside sources. And then even further on the right, we have even more tools to help us with reference display, options, and zooming, and so forth. Let's get going with our floor plan here. So I'll select our straight wall tool. We also have a curved wall option right up here. And these are our parent tools. So once that is selected, I'll single click on one of the child options. Down here we have our straight exterior, interior, foundation, wall, and so forth. So I'll just start out with that straight exterior, click and drag, and as I drag that across, you'll see a temporary dimension pop up. So I have an idea of how long that wall is. I'm just going to close out of this library here to give us a little bit more space. I can also zoom in and out with the scroll wheel on my mouse. I can also hold that scroll wheel down and pan my plan. So a couple different shortcuts there to make editing a little bit faster. And I'll just continue drawing out my walls. I'm not going to be too precise here. Just get an idea. And then I'll show you what's created after we connect all of our walls. A living area is defined for us. That square footage is calculated. And I'll get into a 3D view here. So with our camera view tools, I can single click on our floor overview. We also have a full overview which will include all of the automatic ceiling that's generated, roof design, and so forth. But that floor overview is nice. It cuts off the automatic ceiling that's generated and it will show us into our floor plan here. The flooring's automatically placed, our base molding is automatically there, all of the materials and so forth. And I've set these materials up beforehand, which you can do as well, so you have your own template plan to work from. I'm going to tile vertically here, and we have two different tabs across the top. You can just grab one of those and drag it down, and that will bring us into view here. Let's dimension this space. So I'll use my dimensioning tools. With the dimension options, we have our manual dimensions. So we have quite a few different options, end-to-end, angular, interior, and so forth. We also have auto dimension tools. So we can do an auto exterior dimension, auto interior as well. And that will bring our dimensions onto our plan. Now I'm going to dimension our space here. So I can move my walls by selecting the wall and then selecting the perpendicular or parallel dimension and typing in what I'd like that to be. So let's do 54 feet, hit enter, and that will move the wall that I've selected. So we're adjusting the wall that we select. So I'll single click on the parallel dimension to that wall, and we're going to tell the wall to lock this end and extend this bottom end, which you can see by the little indicator here. You can modify that to act a little bit differently if you'd like. We're going to change that to 34 feet. So I'll put the foot marker in there. With the program, it will automatically think in inches. So put the foot marker in there or type in inches as well. And we'll move this wall to 14 feet, enter, and then we can move this one to 10 feet and just keep working away. Here we'll modify this to 18 feet and this one to 4 feet. So again, just modify how that operates, and we're going to move the wall that we've selected. Alright, so we have everything dimensioned here, and if you're done dimensioning and you want to kind of clean up that space because you don't need those lines to keep updating, we can delete them. You can single click on a dimension, hit backspace on your keyboard to delete that. We can also go up to our dimension tool. So select the parent tool of the dimension, hold down shift on your keyboard, and you can click and drag a marquee around and then delete everything. So there's some quick, efficient ways to maneuver in the program here. Alright, now let's go into our interior wall, and I'm just going to drop in a few interior walls here. So I'm just going to click and drag and drop those right in, and we'll do another section here. This will be our master bedroom with a master bath and closet, and we can just drag those out, or we can be a little bit more specific with these temporary dimensions that we have. So those temporary dimensions are pretty nice because they'll just pop up right for you, and you can modify and move those around and really work efficiently throughout the space there. So I'll just bump that over. Alright, well, now that we have our floor plan complete, I'm going to open up our 3D view. I'm just going to double click on the main title bar there and work in our 3D view a little bit. So with that selected, we do have our move camera with mouse tools. The first one is an orbit, and that's the one that I use all the time. So you can orbit that around and see the space. I'm going to single click in this room. This is going to be a garage. So with a single click in that space, you can go down to your editing toolbar at the bottom. So once you select any object within the program, this editing toolbar will pop up down here specific to that object. And we can open that object for specification. So this is a room. We're going to change that to be a garage. And with a simple change of that room type, it's going to modify our room. So we have our slab here, and the molding has changed. It's become an unconditional space. So there's a lot of different features that the program just kind of automatically does for you. And in this space, I'd like to put a kitchen in this back area, and I'd like to have tile there, but have it open to the rest of the space. So when I select it and want to modify, the entire space is selected. So what I can do is use my room divider tool and just click and drag out a room divider, and now I can single click in just that portion, and I'll open up our kitchen, change the name, and then you can also rename that if you want to have something a little bit different. And you can also go through your room specification. If you have a different ceiling height, you can change that here. You can remove a ceiling over the room, control your floor structure, floor finish, get into any molding options, wall coverings, and materials right here. Alright, that's all I need to do. I'll select OK, and you can see that we have tile in here now that we've changed that to a kitchen. And also with our kitchen classification, if we put our outlets in this space, those will be GFCI. So a lot of different automatic things are happening behind the scenes to make things efficient for you. So now that we have our space kind of oriented there, I'm going to drop in some different openings. So let's work with our doors first. With the door tool, we have our hinge door, a doorway, sliding door, pocket door, bifold, and a garage door. We'll start out with that hinge door, and we can bring that right into the front here, have our front door. I'm going to orbit around slightly so we can see that better. And then I'll get right back into my door. And with that same hinge door, if I bring my cursor onto the interior wall and drop that in, it's going to place an interior door for us. So it changes the style, but any door that's connected to an unconditional space like our garage or the exterior here will drop in an exterior door for us. And we can also open that up and modify that. So for our front door, I'm going to just change that to maybe a glass option. We can change our size, so we'll do 42 inches, maybe bring that up to 96. You can change all of the different components through the panel options here and add different hardware framing on a header by header basis if you would like to. And we also have this object information panel now, so you can add in additional information that will be included in schedules and so forth. And then for our garage, I'll just open that guy up. We can change that to a panel here quickly, and underneath our options we can also change that to a fire door. Alright, that's good enough there. So with our door options, since our garage is right here, I'm just going to drop in a garage door and we can resize that, or we can open that up and be a little bit more specific. We'll do 16 feet. We can also get into the library here. So the core library is kind of your default options. These are all of our generic items that you can choose from. And that one looks pretty good, so I'll just modify that slightly. Once that's selected, we also have a center object tool in our editing toolbar at the bottom. So single click on that and then bring your cursor onto that room. Single click again and that will center that door in the room. I'm going to just bring up the image of our design and where we're going here. So we have our front door, we have our garage. I'm actually going to drop in a sliding glass door over here so we have even more access to the outdoor space, and then we'll move into our window options. Alright, so with our door options, I'll just bring that around here slightly and get into our sliding door. I'll drop that into place, maybe resize that. We can open that up, and underneath our options we have different controls for your door units. We can add 3 panels on here, 4 panels. We also have nano walls, different manufacturers in our library that you can use to really enhance those outdoor living space openings. We also have a doorway, so I'm just going to drop in a doorway over here. And we'll do a pocket door into the closet and bathroom space. Alright, with our openings done with our doors, I'll move on to our windows. We're going to just start out up front here, and I'm going to single click on this object. You see that we have editing handles on all of these objects, so you can just move those around and resize them right in this view. I do like to open them up when I'm getting into some high detail here. We're going to change the width to 42 inches, the height to maybe 87 inches. And we can also change our window type. So right now it's a double casement. I'm going to change that to, let's do a double hopper. So we can control where that's located, and we're going to match that up with our just the bottom, and we can move that as we need to up and down on the wall. And then we can also change the sizing of our bottom component there. So let's bring that down, maybe 24 inches. And we can also change the hopper to be on the bottom instead of the top. So that opening indicator is that little V. So that will show you which side is opening. And again, over on our left-hand panel options, you can really get into some high detail on customizing your windows. All right, so that's been placed here. And this is the window I would like to use for the rest of my design. So instead of customizing each window every time, I can set this as my default. And before I do that, I just remembered I wanted to get into our sill here and remove the sill. There we go. So it's nice to have your 3D view open so you can really see what other design elements you need to do. Again, let's get back into setting this as our default. So with a single click on this Set as Default button down at the bottom, this is now my standard window. So with that window option selected, I can now just single click and drop all of those into place. And with our door here, I just noticed our hinge side. We can modify that very quickly in our tools down at the bottom. So once that's selected, we can change that hinge side. We can also change the swing side very quickly there too. And for our materials, I want to match a few of our materials. So I'm going to use our material eyedropper, single click on that dark material, and apply that to our doors. And now everything matches. All right, well, let's move on to our foundation here. So I'll close out of our 3D view, and in our floor plan view, we'll go up to our floor tools. And through those floor tools, we can build additional stories and we can build our foundation. So when I select that Build Foundation option, we can automatically rebuild our foundation. So if you do move any of your walls on that first floor, this will automatically rebuild the foundation with you, so you don't have to go through this dialog again. We have a few different types for you. The walls with footings, grade beam on piers, and then the monolithic slab option. So you do have control over your slab thickness here. And through your stem wall options, you can modify and change your foundation wall. So that's right underneath our wall types. We do have many different wall type options available for you, or you can define your own and add, remove different layers, change materials, and so forth to get into that custom wall option that you have. And this is also an area to change that stem wall height. So if you want to have that full basement, you can just modify the height here and that will create that. Through your options, you can control your rebar. So this is important when it comes to the materials list. So anything that you change in here will be reflected in our materials list, which I'll show you at the end of today's presentation. Alright, so that's pretty good. We'll select OK. It's going to automatically just create that for us. We'll get into a 3D view and see that we have our slab for our garage. It's cut out our garage door. I do want to make one modification here. So with our 3-story home, there's going to be quite a bit of load on this wall. So I'm going to open up our wall, and through our structure panel underneath our framing, we can make this a bearing wall. So I'll select OK, and you'll notice that will automatically update our foundation since we had that auto update on. So that's going to carry our load with us. Alright, I'll just close out of our 3D view there and start building additional floors. So we'll build a second story, and it's going to ask if I'd like to derive that from the first floor. So I'm just going to copy the same floor layout, and you can change your ceiling height in here and more information. That looks good for me. And in our design here, we're going to have a deck space out here as well as a little balcony here. So I'm going to modify where those walls are positioned. And to do that, first I'm going to turn my reference display on. So that's over in our right hand toolbar. And now I can see where those walls are underneath and our program has nice snapping options, so it's pretty easy to line things up. We can also use those dimensioning options and modify where that is placed. So with our railing tools, I'll just click and drag out my railings here. I'm just following the walls below, and we'll do one right over here as well. And so since these are over existing living spaces or existing rooms, I want to change the room type in there, but let's get into a 3D view just to see what we're creating here. All right, so we do have this space, and I'm going to open up this space, and I'm going to change that to a balcony. So it has that balcony information. And then we can also place a roof over this room. So we'll be doing a little bit of a roof option. And then we can also get into the materials and change our plank information right here if we'd like to. I'm just going to type in decking, and we'll select one of our decking materials here. That one looks pretty good for now. Oh, we'll do this one. Okay, so then that will update for us. And then in this space, we'll do the same thing. So we'll change that to a balcony. Under our structure, I actually want the roof and ceiling over this room. And then I'll select OK. And a quick way to change the materials is with our material eyedropper. So I can single click on that decking material and then apply that to our other area. And if we wanted to manipulate our railings, we can easily do that as well. I'm just going to click and marquee around all of those railings, and then I'll multi-select the railings over here as well, just by holding down Control on the keyboard and single clicking on those. So now I can open up all of them at the same time, and underneath our rail style, I'm going to change that to a panel, so you are able to modify the rail options, newels and baluster, controls, and so forth right in here. And we can change that to be maybe a cable style. So we'll get into our cable options. We do have glass options and more decorative controls as well, so you can definitely modify and control how those are placed. Alright, let's tile vertically again, and I'm going to add some more windows up here. So I'm going to do that in my floor plan view. I'll turn my reference display off so we can see this a little bit better. And just to show you, in our floor plan, you just bring your cursor right onto the wall, single click, and drop that into place. And you can see in our 3D view that that's a little high for our wall, so we can just click on that and bump it down. We can also open that up for specification, and if we wanted to change the height of that to be 80 instead, we can do that. We can also change it to fixed glass and select OK. And now I want that to be copied across, but I don't want that to be my default. So we have a quick and easy multiple copy down here. So with a multiple copy, I'm going to evenly distribute copies across the wall. So I want 3 copies of that window. Select OK, bring my cursor here, and we can just drag that out. And that looks pretty good. So now we have everything copied and accurate there. And in this view, I can see that that first floor is pretty dark, so I want to bring some of the light that might be coming in from our second story into that first. So we're going to create kind of a loft feel just by going right back up to our railing tool. I can just click and create a railing, open up this little space that we've created, and change the room type on that to be open below. And in our 3D view, you'll see how we now have additional light coming down through that opening, kind of creating a nice effect there. Alright, and then maybe we'll add a door out to the balcony and a sliding glass door on this side. All right, now that we have that second story complete, I'll do one more story and we'll go right up to our build floor and finish this out with the third floor on here. And I'm going to uncheck ceiling over this room because we'll have a gable roof and it'll be nice to have a cathedral ceiling up here. And I'll just drag that right in and we're all set there. So I'll get right back into my view here. So we do have our first floor, second floor, and third floor completed. I need to add some windows up here and then we'll get to our different stair tools so we can get between all of those sections. All right, with our third floor here, I'm going to drop in those windows. So we'll just drop in a few here. And again, you can multi-select and we'll center those into this space. And now we'll go down to our first floor and start working with our stair tools. So with our stair options, we have straight options, curved stairs, and then new to the X9 is our L-shaped stair, U-shape. We also have ramp and landing tools. So I'm going to use our U-shaped stair and it'll ask us a few different questions here. I want to just do the default, so that looks good. And we'll bring our cursor into our plan. If you bring it over towards the wall, the up will switch over to this right hand side, or you can bring it over to the left hand side. If you bring your cursor even further and go to this wall, it'll change the orientation. So it gives you a lot of different flexibility on how that's running. And then we'll just click once we're happy. And this time I'll be using our full camera. And that full camera is nice because we're going to stand in our room. I'll click where I'm standing and drag to my focus. So that'll bring us right into our space. And I'm going to tile vertically again, and we're going to drop in some walls underneath our stairs here. So I'll zoom in with the scroll wheel on my mouse, get into our straight wall and that interior wall, and then I can bring that right underneath our stair, and we'll just bring it maybe to that second tread there. And if you place that wall right underneath your stairs, it will automatically cut and go underneath there for you. So I'll do the same over on this side. And that one needs to be bumped over. So once I select an object, you can see I'm selecting our staircase instead of the wall, which is underneath. I can hit Tab on my keyboard to get to the next closest object. And then I like to use my arrow keys on my keyboard to just nudge that over into place. So that looks pretty good. That's aligned. And then we'll just drag that over, and now we have that placed. And we can drag that underneath if we would like. There we go. So our walls are placed here, and now we need to create a stairwell. So I'll single click on the stair, and in the editing tool at the bottom we have an auto stairwell. So that's going to just see all of our treads and cut a new space for us there. So if we go up to our second floor, in both of our views we can go up to the second floor, and you'll see that we have our railing up here and so forth. I'm going to do another U shape, and to do that I'm going to move this railing in a little bit. To do that I need to break it. So with our break wall tool, I'll single click, and now I can select just the portion of that wall, and let's just bring it in slightly here. We'll need to reconnect our walls for that opening to create itself again. And just to make sure we have enough headroom, I'm going to get into my elevation camera and use my back clip cross section. So we'll just do a little cross section of our stairs here. And zoom in, I'm going to use my tape measurer tool. So with our dimensioning tools, I have a tape measure where I can just click and drag this down, And we do need headspace of 6 feet 8 inches, so it looks like we're good there. So I'll close that out. And with the next staircase going up, we don't need that railing. So I'm just going to open that up and make it invisible. So we still need to define the space, so I don't want to delete it. I'll just make it invisible. Okay, so let's drop in the next staircase here. We'll do that same U shape. I'm just going to bring it over here off a little bit and we'll move it right in. So it's kind of floating there for us. I'm going to multi-select both of the staircases and the landing, and we'll just drag it into place. And we'll probably want a wall here, so I'm going to change the railing. We'll open that up, and we can change that railing. If you just uncheck railing here, it's going to change that back to a wall. And we can nudge that over and go right underneath our stairs. And once we get pretty close to aligning that with the wall below, you'll notice in our editing toolbar at the bottom we have a line with wall below, so that really syncs everything up. So we'll do another stairwell up here and open up that space. Alright, with all of the stairs placed in there, we're going to move on to our roof design. So I'll close out of that 3D view, zoom out here a little bit, and I'm going to go up to our third floor just to see how it builds on that third floor, and then we'll work our way down a little bit. So again, I wanted to show you what we're going for. So we have a gable roof here and then shed roof options on either side. So we'll get right back into Chief Architect, get into our build roof tools. So we have automatic roof tools and then manual controls, so you can manually do individual roof planes or ceiling planes. We have truss options, dormer tools, skylights, and so forth that you can use. So we're just going to automatically build our roof. And with our automatic tools, these are some different styles that you can utilize. It's going to automatically build a hip roof. We are able to change it quickly to gable roof and shed roof, which we'll be doing. And then here are some different examples of other options. Through the roof panel, we're going to build those roof planes and we're going to automatically rebuild. So all the changes that we make throughout, it's just going to update so we don't have to get into this dialog again. We can also manipulate our pitch, so I'm going to change that to a 5 and 12. You can change your overhang and so forth here. Get into your structure if you want to change any of the stick framing controls. Change the profiles of your gutters, shadow boards, and so forth. That's all we need to do here, so I'll select OK. And with the dashed green lines, you'll see that our roof has been built. So we'll get into the full overview this time and see our roof planes. So we need to modify our side options first. So I'll get right into our tile vertically and go back down to floor 2, and you'll see that we have our roof planes on that floor 2. So first I am going to select our walls that the shed roof is going to bear on. And in this case, I can open those up all at the same time. Underneath our roof panel, we can change the pitch. We're going to change that to be a 3 and 12. So with our automatic roof tools, we're controlling the roof through the walls. So the walls are telling the roof how to build. So it's pretty easy just to get right into these walls and manipulate. So our pitch has been modified, and now I want these side walls to be changed to high shed walls. So we'll open those up, and under the roof we'll do high shed, and you'll notice how those update for us. And we're going to bring this one back in just a little bit. I want to address our third story roof before we do that. And for this roof, I just want to change these two ends to be gable ends. Instead of opening them up, we have a little shortcut here for you. So with one click, it will update for us. If you want to get into a little bit more control, you can single click on these roof planes. I'm going to multi-select and open those up. You can get into different pitch, baseline, and so forth controls here. I'm going to lock our pitch and create a curved roof. And we're going to do an angle of 0 at the ridge so we have a nice curved roof. It's asking me if I want to turn off my auto rebuild roof. And yes, I don't need to auto rebuild anymore. So you can see how quickly the program can change and modify and create those custom roof options. I'm just going to undo that so we have our nice gable back. I'll go back down to our second floor, and I can actually modify roof planes in my 3D view as well, so we can just drag that in. And yes, I'd like to turn off my auto rebuilds, so that will modify and show us how that operates. So we do need some structure here. I'm going to get into my floor plan, zoom in here slightly, and get into our framing tools and just grab that post. So it's a 4x4 post, as you can see with the indicator there. In our 3D view, I'm just going to grab that and drag it up a bit. Okay, so that's why I like to have multiple views open. I can edit and see how the design is coming in both views and be pretty efficient there. So instead of clicking and just dropping randomly, I'm going to do a multi-copy. And this time, instead of just dragging out a certain amount, I want them to be 6 feet apart. So I've specified that here. Select OK. And now we can just click and drag those out. And now they're evenly distributed. Alright, so on the other balcony here, we'll rotate around, and we have our railings that we can manipulate. So I'm going to multi-select those, open them up, and underneath our rail style, we have post to ceiling or post to beam, which I'll select that option. And there we go. We can also manipulate materials. So let's open that up and manipulate our beam there. So I'll use our material eyedropper, grab the white trim, and apply that to our beam here. I'm also going to open up our library again and find some different siding materials. I've already found some through our library and copied them into my user catalog. So we do have the core catalog, that's your standard catalog that downloads into the program. And then we have our bonus catalogs. Those are extras. We try to come out with bonus catalogs every month to help expand the options. So you can find those and download those right through the website. Same with the manufacturer catalogs, and I'll show you where you can see a whole list of the manufacturer catalogs because it's pretty extensive. So I'll show you where to find that on the website. And then our user catalog is your own custom folder. So you can create new folders, you can import new materials, backdrops, symbols in here, so you can really customize that to be whatever you need to. And I have a couple different materials I'd like to place. With the program, it automatically creates this space. It's a little attic space, so it's just letting me know that it's changing the automatic options. And I'm just pasting this right onto our design here. And next, I'm going to use a different material for the rest of the house. So instead of clicking on each individual wall, down in the bottom here, we do have additional options on how you're going to apply that material. So I was in component mode for each individual wall. You can do room mode. So if you wanted to change all of the different cabinets in one room, you can do room mode, floor mode, or plan mode. I'm going to get into plan mode since this goes across multiple floors and so forth. So that really changes the scope of how your material is applied. And then we can zoom around here, and maybe I'll apply that to this area just to play it safe. I'm not sure what material that is if it's in the rest of my design, so I'll just go back to component mode and then we'll apply that on that side as well. So pretty quick and easy to manipulate your materials and get the right look and feel that you would like, and really easy to change pretty quickly. Alright, so now that we have our design coming along here, we're going to start working with the outdoor space a little bit. And I'm going to start working with our site plan, bringing in terrain, modifying the elevation, and then we'll work towards kind of a patio out here. We'll do a driveway, and then we'll extend our roof structure and get some supports in there. Alright, so back in Chief Architect, I'm just going to close out of our library there, and we'll get into our floor plan and create our terrain. So underneath the terrain drop down, we can click on that create terrain perimeter, and that will just create a flat plot for us. We can use our dimensioning tools to dimension that out, or if we have a setback that we know about, we can just type that right in here. We have different CAD tools and so forth that you can utilize to be more specific and get into all of the details and contours. So I'll open up our 3D view here. If you have survey data, you can also import that into the software and utilize that information. But we're going to be pretty basic here and get into our elevation data and use our elevation region tool. And then I can just click and drag. We're going to have a steeper elevation in the back than the front. So I'll just bring out an elevation up front as well. So with this, we're going to bring that up maybe to 75 inches. And then the front should stay at 0. So that's just a nice flat terrain up front. And let's see what happens in our 3D view. So in that 3D view, you'll see that we do have a nice little slope there, and it's bumped the front down a little bit, so I can tile vertically here so we can see how we're manipulating things. We can open up just that entire terrain. If you want to bring up that entire terrain, it's going to be off of the subfloor height. So let's change that to maybe 29 and see what happens there. Alright, so that looks pretty good. You'll notice that our siding has been covered quite a bit. So if the terrain is a little bit different and we need to drop that down, we can do so. Or if you wanted to do kind of a stepped foundation, we can open up that specific wall. Underneath our wall types, we can add a pony wall. And let's change that to be the same as our stem wall. You can change the elevation and so forth right there, but that looks good for now. So I'll select OK, and then we can get in here. We can also manipulate it in this view, or what I like to do is get into my elevation camera and just take an elevation from the side. So that will give us control over this section of the wall, and we can break certain areas. So I'll break that and bring this down. You can also manipulate and bring that in or out depending on your location there, and then we can just work our way down. So pretty quick and easy to manipulate and modify a step foundation option. And then I'll just bring that down. Not too precise here, but you can see the effect of that in our 3D view as well. Alright, so now let's drop in a driveway. So that's through our terrain tool as well. You'll also see down the list we have garden beds, water features, stepping stones, terrain walls, sidewalks, and your plants. You can do all of your landscaping, hardscaping out here as well. I'm just going to use my straight driveway. We also have curved options or custom polyline options. I'll just zoom in here a little bit and we'll just drag this guy out and bring it out a little bit. Alright, so now that our front is coming along, I'm going to rotate it around a bit and we'll do our porch area out front here. So for that porch, I'm going to use my deck tools. We have a deck edge option, and with this we can just single click. Let me get back into my floor plan, and then I'll select my deck edge, and these are just like walls again, so you're going to connect them to existing walls, and that's going to drop in our deck for us. I'm going to open up that space and change it to a porch, so that will just make it a nice concrete slab for us. Underneath the structure, we have a 4-inch slab right now, but we have quite a bit of space here, so I do need to change the thickness on that. Let's do 30 inches there. Oh, and we had our ceiling over this room selected, so we'll just open that up again and remove the ceiling and roof over that room. Okay, so now we have that placed. We can still get back in here, and if we wanted to have railings on either side, since that's a pretty big drop, we can open up those specific railings and uncheck invisible, and those will be placed for us. And then for our stairs, we'll use our click stair option. So that's pretty nice. It locates where the terrain is and dictates how many treads we have. And I'll just expand that right out. Let's open up our stairs here. We do have some information on like the make best fit. So if you do place a staircase and it doesn't reach the next floor, or it's too shallow, too steep, it's going to tell you right in here. You can also manually control this through the sections down here. Underneath our style, I'm going to uncheck open underneath and open risers, because we'll be making some concrete stairs there. And then we do have even more control if you wanted to add the railings on here and so forth. That's pretty good for now, so we'll get into our 3D view, match some materials here. And you know what, let's actually change the top of our treads and the porch, and that'll just put a nice finish on that. Alright, so next let's bring out our roof planes and build some posts and beams here. So I'll go right back up to floor 3 so I can see my roof planes. I'll drag that out. We have a dimension here, so I can change that to 8 feet. And then I'll grab my other one, and if I bring my cursor up here, it's just going to snap, so I know that that's going to be 8 feet as well. And with the shadowing in the program, it also gives you good information on how this is going to affect your design and bring more light or shade into that space. So for our beams and so forth, we do have additional options through our framing tools. I have actually created a couple different blocks that I'm going to place in here. So I'll open up my library, and with the library again, these are just custom items that I've created. So they're just kind of blocks of timbers here. So I'm going to center that onto our space. We'll use our center object and bring that over. And then I have some posts here that I'm going to just drop in, and then I'll move those over, line those up, and maybe let's bring those back a little bit. There we go. Alright, so with our objects in place here, I can also get into some more information. I wanted to show you just a little bit here with our post tool. So you can see that we have our post right in here. We can modify the size, we can modify the spacing on that. So if I wanted to change that to 11 and a fourth, so a 12 by 12, we can do that. And we can get into a different view, like an elevation view. If we wanted to be a little bit more precise, we can do that. Or I'm going to just zoom in here, move our living area, and I have control in this view as well, just to manipulate and change that. So pretty quick and easy to modify. I'm just going to use my arrow tools to modify the placement there. Alright, so we have all of our structure complete. Now let's get into our framing a little bit. So with our framing tools, we have the build option, so we can just automatically build the framing. And for the foundation, it's going to give us an option to build the floor framing for our first floor. We can control our floor structure, so you can change all of the different layers in here. You can also change the structure type, so you're pretty flexible on what you're going to do there. And if you're going to do a SIP, floor, or ceiling, or roof, you can define that right through that structure area. We can change our spacing, joist width, rim joists, how that's going to bear on the beams and the blocking. So across the panels over here, we're just going to continue working our way through the auto builds, through all of our floors and ceilings here, and then we'll build our wall. And I'm going to automatically rebuild. And then through the openings, this is where you can control your header options across the board. So your span table is just right here for you. You can change your fireplace information, beams and posts. And here's the roof information. So this was also in the roof build roof dialog, where you can control all of the different information for just a stick built roof system. We're going to automatically rebuild that. And then here's some more information if you're going to do trusses instead. And then you have materials, but that's great. So I'll select OK. And it's going to ask me if I want to turn these layers on. So within Chief Architect, we have layers so you can see or hide different elements of your design. So I'm going to hide all of these elements and show you a different method here. So in this drop down, these are different layer sets that we've put together. So our framing set will show you all of the different framing members, and you can go down through all of the different floors and see how it's all laying out. You can also zoom in here and manually control this, so you can modify the positioning and spacing and so forth that you would like to. On our wall over here, you can select each individual wall, and in our editing toolbar at the bottom we have open wall detail, so that will show us that specific wall. And I'll just tile vertically here just to show you if we're going to move that door, how that's just going to automatically update for us. And then if we open up that door, we can also get into the framing for that specific door and uncheck defaults if you wanted to make changes to the type. If you wanted a glue lamb, you can change the thickness, count. So let's go through here, and I'm just going to make a few modifications. Let's do our depth at 14, and so we can just see what happens here. So you can see that change, and that's going to be reflected in your materials list as well. Alright, I'll close out of that. We're going to get back into our default set, and I'll show you a quick kitchen here. So I have already created a kitchen and blocked it together, kind of like the beams that we saw earlier. So you can block objects together, and if you have a standard template kitchen that you put into your designs, you can just grab that and drop it into the space. Oh, it dropped it outside of the space. So let's move that in and rotate that around. I'm just going to bump it up to the walls here and snap that right into place. And our doorway's a little bit far, so I'll bring that back a little bit too. So you can see here how the kitchen is all together, laid out. and then you can explode that block and make modifications. So if you wanted to change the width of these, you can then do so. So it's very nice and quick to create your own custom blocks. New to X9, you can show your cabinets and drawers open. You can also add electrical to the sides easily and so forth. So it kind of gives you a little bit more options. And we have a specific webinar for kitchen and bath design, two separate ones, so that will definitely give you a lot more information on kitchen design. So sign up for those and learn a little bit more about all of the different cabinet tools and features that we have available there. So next I'm going to just show you our materials list. Through our tools drop down, we can find the materials list. So this is going to gather all of the information that we've already placed in the design, or if you're doing an addition, you can do by room or by area. And that will generate a full materials list for you. It will give you some information to plug into ResCheck for energy calculations. And if I scroll down here, we'll get into windows, we'll get into cabinets, get into trim and fixtures, deck information, appliances. So you'll see as we go down, we have our size, description, count. You can add any extras that you would like to. It's going to place the unit for you. You'll add your own pricing in here, comments, and so forth. And then you can also add additional columns. So if you wanted to add any markup or labor in here, you can do that. You can also export this to Excel, CSV, and it also plugs into Buildertrend, so you can utilize it through that application as well. I'm not going to save that. We do have a quick schedule option through our tools as well. So if we wanted to get into a door schedule, let me just drop that to the side here. So you'll notice once I drop that in, over on our doors, we're going to have all of our call outs there. So we'll get into our schedule, and we can also open that up, and a feature that I like is our 3D perspective can be added in here, and let's just move that up a couple. So you can see those represented in a 3D perspective in your schedule. Okay, so we're going to wrap this up with our rendering and then our plan set. So in our camera view, I'm just going to get into that full overview again and show you this is our standard option that we have available. We also have different artistic renderings, so you can get into the technical information, a glass house to see through what's going on in all of the different rooms. You can do the duotone, and you can manipulate all of these to be a little bit different. So if you have different colors, different line weights, and so forth, you can change those. And there's our painting option. We also have this watercolor. And to make it a little bit more defined, we can add these lines on top of it. So through your technique options, we'll get back into the watercolor and do the line drawing on top. And once I select OK, that's going to apply for us. We also have a ray trace option. That's going to be a much more photorealistic rendering. So I wanted to bring you over to our website. You can explore these yourself as well. So we'll just open up like our grand view here. It really kind of enhances all of the different reflections, lighting, shadows, and so forth. And let me just go through a couple here. And there's a plan set. But you can see on here like the water is super reflective, and it just enhances all of the different views there for you. We also have a 360 option. So I'm just going to search for that here. So you can find more information on our website just through that search element. And we have a 360 rendering page here. So you can get in here and check it out. You can export 360 images from X9, and you can embed them on your website like this. You can also view them through the Google Cardboard 360 glasses as well, um, or add them to Facebook. So a lot of different controls there and a great way to share your design with your customers. All right, so back to our plan here. I'm just going to create a simple layout so you can see how our layout tools work. And I'm going to just add our dimensions onto our design here. So with that auto dimension tool, you'll be able to just automatically place them on here. And you can also manipulate. So if this was a mold unit, we can change how this is locating and just drag off these different diamonds if they're not relevant. We can also change different layers. So if you don't want to see labels on here, you can select an item, and in the editing toolbar we have our layer properties, and we can turn those off. So it's really easy to find just by selecting that item and turning that off. Alright, so I'm going to send that to our layout, but first we need to create a layout. Underneath our file, we're going to do a new layout. This is going to bring up my template layout file. You can create your own with your own logo and information that you would like. And then we'll get right back to the floor plan and send that to our layout. We can also change the scale in here and how that is sent. We can do the entire plan or current screen. We can send it as an image. If you don't send it as an image, it will be live. So any changes that you make will be updated in the layout file here. So we'll just modify this, just bring it up slightly and move it over. Okay, and I'll do one more. We'll do a front elevation. So again, that elevation camera. And actually, let me show you one other aspect here. We're going to do a backclip cross section. And in this cross section here, I am going to turn the layer on for our framing. So I'll just find the framing layer. And then we'll have some more information there. If I zoom in to our footing here, I'm going to get into my library, and we do have like over 500 CAD details that you can utilize. So that is going to be right through our bonus catalog, and I'll scroll right down to our CAD blocks and details. And through here we can get into additional details and find the exact one we want. So we'll grab this guy, and I'm just going to place him here. And so you can really see all of the different details that we get into. You can also explode this and modify each individual component, change the fill, change the text, and so forth. So you do have that capability to really get into that detail and show all of the components that you need to. So I'll just send that, and I'll do our current screen and bring that over. So you can continue working, and then I had an example on our website to show you so you can see a little bit more detail in our samples gallery. Through our PDF files, those are entire plan sets. So this is our Grandview House for Homes. This is going to be built here in Coeur d'Alene. We're going through a permitting process and so forth. All of the proceeds from the build are going to a local charity. So definitely check that project out. But this is a really good example of what's coming out of the program. Here's a pretty complex site plan. The terrain is super steep. We need a lot of different information shown there. I'm just going to zoom right down. So here's some framing information, notes, details, and so forth. So I encourage you to get into our samples gallery and explore a little bit more through all of these different examples. Also on the website, you can go under our products and find the Chief Architect Premier. That'll give you a lot more information about the software as well. We also have a trial version, so you can download the software, work with it. There's no time limit, so you can work with it as long as you want to. You're just not able to save or print with the program. And through our user center, you can find those catalog downloads. So this will contain all of the bonus and manufacturer cabinet lines and door, window options and more. So a lot of different libraries that you can be adding to your software and utilizing in the program. So I was using our Chief Architect Premier today. That's our full residential and light commercial software for $2,695. We also have an interiors program, so if you're only interested in interior design, that's an option. We also offer a rental, so you can rent Chief Architect for $199 a month. In either case, you'll be receiving our support and software assurance. So that includes our priority technical support, access to those bonus and manufacturer catalogs, any new software releases that come out so you're always up to date, discounts on additional licenses. So with the software, you can install it on multiple computers, just use it on one at a time, or get the additional licenses if you need multiple people active at the same time. And then this will also give you access to our 3D viewer and 360 cloud export. So that is a cloud area where you can then share your plans with your clients. So we do have some mobile applications to enhance your design work with Chief Architect. The first one is the room planner, and that's really good for doing any as-builts, getting those measurements out in the field. So it will sync with different laser measuring devices. Get that floor plan in there, save it up to the cloud, and then your teammate back in the office can start working on it before you even get back. So you don't have to do double inputs, and it's really efficient to then work in the software. We also have the 3D viewer. This is awesome for client presentations. You can actually share your entire plan through a share code with them. And they can walk through the entire plan. They can see their own backyard out here. So it really brings them into the space and makes that a real design for them and gives them really good feedback on what's going on with that design. So check those two out. It is available for Android and for Mac. So explore those. They're great options. All right, thanks so much. Have a great day.